because, and I want to see what you guys think about this, because I thought this was very intriguing. You know, I was in Norfolk, Virginia over the weekend. I covered Keyshawn Davis versus Albright. And funny enough, Hector Ferco Hernandez sat in front of me. And for those of you guys who don't know who that is, Hector Ferco Hernandez is the manager of Venado Lopez, the former IBF champion. And I know Ferco. I got a chance to know him a little bit in the build-up to Angelo Leo versus Venado Lopez. And I respect Ferco. I respect the hell out of him, because he was a man of his word. He gave Angelo the shot at the title with Venado, and, you know, we were victorious that night. But God bless him, because he's a man of his word. He's a man of honor and a man of principle, right? But I had a chance to talk to him because, you know, he had his fighter, Christian Chacon, on the undercard of Albright Davis, and Chacon was on the wrong end of a tough decision loss. You know, a lot of people thought that he beat Jan Santana and deserved to take his O. And I'm actually supposed to interview Chacon. I've been talking to Ferco about getting on the channel, so I should have that interview in the next 2 or 3 days. But I asked him a question that I wanted to know, because I was like, damn, you know, Venado Lopez is a former champion, you know, TV-friendly fighter, big-time knockout puncher. And Venado Lopez was linked to fighting Rafael Espinoza last September. I remember it very vividly. Venado was very vocal on social media about wanting that fight. And he signed his part of the fight from all accounts. And from everything I've heard, and it's been from more than one person, it was Rafael Espinoza that backed out of the fight. So I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, because, you know, before Angelo knocked out Venado, I remember a lot of the Mexican media and boxing fans in general were just talking about the fact that Venado versus Espinoza is the fight to make it featherweight. So I was like, okay, well, this is a chance to do a big fight for the Mexican people. Why would you bluff at the opportunity? So he didn't fight him. He went and he decided to fight instead a very limited contender, an Arnold K guy. Okay, so that was one end of the equation. The other end of the equation, and this is more recently, because they were trying to get Bruce Carrington versus Venado Lopez done. For that, you know, it was reported for the Boots versus Zayas card, which, you know, I'm very surprised it didn't happen, because, you know, the narrative is that Venado Lopez is a damaged goods, even though he hasn't had a significant fight since the Angelo fight to prove what he is or he isn't at this point, right? Obviously, Team Carrington, from what I was told, they decided to go another direction, and they're fighting Rene Palacios, which I don't think is a terrible fight. I think it's a good fight, actually, because Palacios beat the guy that a lot of people thought beat Bruce, which was Suleiman Sagawa. So my thing is, how is it that, and I'll call them the media darlings, because Top Rank is behind Espinoza fully, and they're behind Carrington fully, and these are the guys that I get told on a daily basis Angelo Leo can't beat, right? But how is it that these guys got offered a fight, a very good fight, with a former world champion, and they both decided to fight guys with lesser credentials? You know, this guy's supposed to be damaged good. He's not that good, but they're fighting guys with lesser credentials. So I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to show you guys the tweet. I'm going to put the tweet on that Summer Jam screen. All right? I got it right here. So this is the tweet. This is the tweet that I put out today. Shout out to Ferco. Shout out to Venado. It says, I quote, Saturday night, after Keyshawn Davis fight, I spoke to Venado Lopez's manager, Hector Ferco Hernandez, and he just confirmed to me that both Bruce Carrington and Rafael Espinoza backed out of fights with Venado Lopez. He cited that the reason Espinoza backed out was because he was told that Espinoza doesn't want to fight any Mexican fighters. They tried to make the Bruce Carrington fight, but a decision was made instead for Bruce to fight Rene Palacios on the Abdullah Mason, Joe Cordina undercard. Carrington and Venado know each other very well from the sparring sessions. So, despite a KO loss to Angelo Leo, it appears that Venado Lopez is being avoided by some of the bigger names in the featherweight division. End quote. So, very interesting stuff. And I'll tell you this, guys. You know, it's very easy for people to say that Venado Lopez is damaged goods, but he hasn't had a fight of significance. I know he's fought a couple little stay busy fights in Mexico against overmatched opponents, but he hasn't had a fight to prove what he is or he isn't yet. Now, obviously, he had the brain bleed. There's concerns about whether, you know, he should even fight, period, which I understand. But if he hasn't had a significant fight since he got knocked out, you don't really know what he is, and everything else is just baseless conjecture. It's just it's a guess, right? And I think it's fair to say, if we're being honest here, you know, Venado Lopez would easily be the most accomplished opponent on Bruce Carrington's resume to date if he were to fight him right now. And I think, you know, in my opinion, I think he's also a more accomplished fighter than anybody Rafael Espinoza has fought. So I feel like, you know, boxing fans can do what they want to do, but I feel like there should be more criticism of the guys that didn't fight Venado Lopez, because I remember when this fight was supposed to be the biggest thing in the division. You know, before the Angelo fight, it was the biggest thing in the division. But Rafael Espinoza gets a pass for not fighting him and fighting Arnold K. Guy. I mean, I don't know. That just doesn't seem right. You know, I know if it was Angelo in that position, you guys be on Twitter like Devin Haney is, and or here in my chat lighting me up saying that your boy is ducking him. But you know, people don't want to keep that same energy for the other guys that, you know, that top rank is fully behind. So it is what it is. But I just wanted to put it out there. And, you know, I'm going to ask Bruce at some point. I'm going to ask Bruce, you know, what his side of the story is, because there are two sides to every story. And I'm not even mad at Bruce, because Bruce Carrington isn't fighting a can. Like, he's fighting a good fighter who's coming off of a very big win against a guy that a lot of people, myself included, thought that he lost to in Suleiman Sagawa. So I can't even shit on Bruce. My gripe is actually more Rafa, because people keep saying Rafa's this killer, and he's a good fighter, but I don't think he's this killer. He fought Arnold K. Guy, a kickboxer, a guy that, you know, Top Rank wouldn't even let Angelo Leo fight if we tried to fight him. So my thing is, all I'm asking for people is just for a little consistency, you know. That's all. And I just wanted to put that out there, and I'll leave it there, and I'll dead it in the water there, and we'll have to ask some certain questions to certain people and get some follow-ups, but that's where I'm at with that. But anyway, shout out to everybody. I want to see what you guys think, because I got like 2 more talking points, and then I'll go ahead and I'll pivot into something else. He says, damn, I knew people was ducking Venado. They are. And that right there will tell you. That right there will tell you what kind of fighter he is. People like to say like what he is, or he isn't. Oh, he has bad defense, this, that, and the third. And yeah, he fights very unconventional. He's kind of like a lesser Navarrete, right? Awkward Mexican fighter, throws punches from random angles, heavy hands, athletic, but guys don't fight him despite the fact that he got put in the ambulance by Angelo Leo. So it will tell you that they know the challenge. You know, Venado Lopez is a guy that, you know, he's very hard to get sparring for and game plan for. And, you know, like, I have my questions about Venado. I'm not even sitting here like fanboying over him for anything just because Angelo beat him. Like, I have my questions about him, like, because I know for a fact that, you know, it's not going to be the easiest weight cut for him at this stage of his career at featherweight, right? So I have my doubts about if he can even make the weight healthily. But if his team are going out of their way to try to make these fights happen against other big names, I don't see why he doesn't deserve them. He was a legitimate champion. He's got 3 title defenses on his resume. You know, he's a fun, fan-friendly action fighter. If you beat him, you now have a former world champion on your resume, which only enhances your stock. He's a big name amongst the Mexican fan base. So if you're Espinoza, that only enhances your name amongst Mexican fans. If you're Bruce, it gets you a whole bunch of new fans that you didn't have before. So I just don't see where it doesn't make sense. People have been telling me that BT, there's no reward in that fight for those guys. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Bruce Carrington fought, you know, he's fought guys in his career that wasn't no reward. Enrique Vivas wasn't no reward, but he found a way to fight him, you know?